Yes, you will get your wrap up. Yes, you will get your TBR. But right now, it's still spooky season to me because spooky season's in your heart, and my heart is always scary. So, this is fine. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is October and this is Nerdboy Reads, a channel in which I talk about the things that I've been reading and or want to read regardless of how much I like it or plan to like it. And today is kinda late. This video is kinda late. I meant to record it in October, but I didn't. Things kept coming up. I meant to record this on the actual night of Halloween, but then I ended up going to a concert, so it doesn't really matter. But the point is, this is kind of still a Halloween themed video because it is only the first week of November, so it still counts, at least to me it does. Today we are going to be talking about the books and manga that I recommend you read based off of what you were for Halloween. Pretty simple, right? These are just things that I came up with that I thought fit the vibe of certain Halloween costumes, especially things that I've seen going around this year, and I'm just decided to roll with it. Some of these may be a little bit of a stretch, so you're just gonna have to bear with me. Also, sorry I keep doing this. This is a new shirt and the tag is starting to bother me, so I'm gonna try to ignore it, but for now, I'm just gonna roll. So yeah, we're gonna get started. I am going to be going through these quite fast because there are a lot of things for me to get through, so I'm going to give the briefest skimmings of a synopsis as we go through. If you want a more detailed recommendation for these series, leave a comment and I will do an individual review recommendation video for it. It'll probably be really short because I want you all to get into it, but again, either that or I've talked about it before, so you can look through my previous videos and find it, but yeah. First, I have books to recommend if you went as a zombie or any sort of dead thing, resurrected thing, whatever. We have, obviously, Johannes Cabal, the Necromancer, for the resurrected dead thing trope costume thing, because this is about a necromancer named Johannes Cabal who is a local bastard who gets surprised whenever his actions actually have consequences. This is one of my favorite series in the world and I need more people to read it, so that's why I'm putting it here, and it fits the theme. It's very fall-esque, it's very steampunky, and it's horror adjacent, so I guess it fits into that category too, but I feel like it's a good read if you're into dead things or not so dead things or things that were supposed to be dead. And then for the manga we have Soul Eater. This is about an academy that teaches children how to hunt demons and whatnot. And it just fits. You have to read it. I'm not going to spoil it too much about why it fits. You have to read it yourself if you haven't, but I'm pretty sure everyone has read this at some point or another, so if you know, you know. If not, figure it out. It's a good series. It's complete at 25 volumes. There is an anime adaptation that did complete it in its own way. So yeah, you have an opportunity to read it. This was also in my things to read and or watch for Halloween, my not so spooky manga recommendations. So second time I brought it up, guys. It can't be a coincidence. Next costume idea I saw that I wanted to be. I was obsessed with this costume, with this idea, with this mythology for ever when I was a kid. You can tell kind of by what I read nowadays, but the next costume I'm going to be recommending things for is vampire, and I have two kind of opposing, these different vibes, same creature, different vibes. The first one is the book. This is a really old one. I mentioned this very briefly in my either welcoming video, my YouTube newbie tag. This is one of those series that really got me into reading, and this is The Chronicles of Vladimir Todd by Heather Brewer. This is a series, a 5-book series, I want to say, following Vladimir Todd, who is a half vampire, half human, as he tries to navigate the struggles of middle school, high school, and vampire life all in one. I don't know how well this series aged. I'm probably going to read it again, so be on the lookout for that in a video in the future, but I highly recommend it. This was one of my favorite series in the world, and when I do my reread, I do hope that it holds up, because I've reread this series at least 3 times when I first got introduced to it, so yeah, I highly recommend it for vampire lovers, because it's a quieter vampire series that not a lot of people talk about, even when BookTube was first brewing, and this came out right at the cusp of that. And I don't think a lot of people talked about it, so I want to bring this more attention to this series. Plus, it's just really good. So, yeah, read it. Good. And for the manga, we have a comedy. This is a slice of life gag manga about vampires. This is My Pathetic Vampire Life. This is one of the funniest series, if we can call it that, I have ever encountered in my entire life. This follows Kyode. He is a vampire who is cursed to look like a high schooler for the rest of his life, and thus he has to go through high school over and over and over and over again. Otherwise, the government will kill him, and he's just struggling to maintain life and be cool while also, you know, making friends and just going through life, watching everyone grow up and leave him. But it's so funny. I say it like it's depressing, but it's not. This is 2 volumes of some of the funniest shit I have ever encountered in my life. If you like Nichijou, you'll like this. Nobody talks about this, but they really need to, because this is such a good, fun series. It's another one of those not so spooky things with spooky adjacent stuff. Vampire. It's so funny. I need to reread this. It's only 2 volumes. Highly recommend picking it up. Do it if you haven't. It's so good. This next costume idea is actually a broad swath of just anything that could be classified as a fantasy character. Witches, wizards, knights, plague doctors, anything that could be considered fantasy. I picked 2 for these. I could actually pick 3, and I might do like a rapid fire sort of recommendation in the end. So keep that in mind. But I did narrow it down to anything that's sort of D&D fantasy adjacent. And the first, we have the book, and that is the Witches series. This is about a witcher named Gerald who travels the land killing monsters and doing other tasks for money. And I finally got my first book back. I don't know if I told y'all this, but I loaned this out like a year ago, and I just got it back, so I can finally hold it up to you. But this is one of the best things I have read recently. I haven't actually made it to the main story. I plan on picking up the main story either in late December or sometime next year. Spoiler alert for my plans video that I do have coming out soon. Well, January, whatever, no, December, whatever. And then for the manga, we have Goblin Slayer. This is about a dude named Goblin Slayer who goes around slaying goblins. This is literally set up like a D&D campaign. You get tasks, you get a band together, and you just go out solving tasks and solving missions. I recently got the Brand New Day, which is the anthology of like short stories for this series, and I'm pretty much have everything that has come out for this series except for the light novels. I have Goblin Slayer, I have Year 1, I have Daikatana, and now I'm picking up Brand New Day. This is such a good series. It's very violent. It's very violent. It's very like, it touches, everyone knows the first episode of Goblin Slayer. It's what puts a lot of people off. It is very heavy-handed with why these goblins are bad and why they need to be slayed, so do be wary of that going in. But if you can stomach it, it's a good found family story, and it's actually kind of hilarious because the main character is kind of dumb, but in a hilarious way. Watching them interact with each other, watching the parties interact, watching Goblin Slayer kind of meander through friendships is so heartwarming. It's so surprising coming out of a story this bloody, but I highly recommend picking it up if you can stomach it, if you can handle whatever comes up, and definitely look up the trigger warnings, but if you can stomach it, I highly recommend it. Yes. Another very opposite end of the spectrum for the same costume. This is for any musicians, like rock stars, punk rockers. If you cosplay band members, do people do that? I don't know. I'm not into that, despite the fact that I went to a concert on Halloween. But this is for anyone who actually picked up the punk rock look in Spirit Halloween, but they're on very different ends of the spectrum. The book is We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. This is about a woman who, after getting kicked out of her band and watching them explode and then fizzle, she gets word that something bad is about to happen, or gets the gut feeling that something bad is about to happen, and she goes and she tries to get make sure her bandmates are safe, and it's very violent. There are some parts that I literally had to close the book because the visceral reaction I had couldn't let me focus on what was happening. So definitely look up the trigger warnings for this. But Grady Hendrix is one of my favorite authors. I have everything that he's put out so far, in paperback of course, and he hasn't let me down. Well, Horror Store kind of let me down, but then we don't talk about that. But I do like it. I'm pretty sure a lot of his stuff is getting an adaptation, so if you've seen the My Best Friend's Exorcism Amazon movie, I think it was, pick up the book, but pick up this one if you were a rock star for Halloween, because it's a scary rock star story that I highly recommend, because a lot of people talk about his other works, but I don't know how many people actually talk about this one. I do prefer this cover to the one that came out, but it gets more eyes on the series, so yeah. And then again, on the complete opposite ends, we have a BL slice of life fluff fest. This is Given, this is depression, this is sadness, this is joy, this is hope. This is the purest romance that I can ever think of. I love this so much, but do be wary, there is like some scenes of dubious consent in volume 4, but other than that, my standards are so high because of this series. It's about a boy named Uenoyama who meets a boy named Mafuyu in the stairwell of his school and offers to let him into his band after hearing him sing, and it's just so sad. It's so good. Oh, I don't know how to talk about this. There's 2 seasons of this anime and the manga is still ongoing. Watch it, interact with it, do something with it. Definitely read the manga, because there's a movie, so it's 1 season and a movie, even though I said 2 seasons. The movie cuts out a lot from the manga, so I highly recommend reading the manga. It's very, very good. It's so good. I could go on forever about this manga. I need to reread it. I'm probably going to reread it. Volume 7 is coming out, so keep that in mind and read it. Next is all of my superhero fans. Marvel, DC, any sort of superhero. Read these. The first one is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is a duology, a dual timeline story about Victor Vale and his college roommate Eli, who give themselves superpowers and then fuck shit up. I would die for Victor Vale. This is the series that made me realize that V.E. Schwab is one of my favorite authors ever. This is the first series I've ever picked up from her. There's 2 currently, but there's another one coming out, I believe. Rough estimation based on the timeline that the other 2 came out next year. So hopefully we can see something there. But until then, everyone has read this already, I know. But read it again. It's so good. I love this series so much. I'm not going to talk about it too much, because I could. So I'm just going to leave it there. I know it's the villain series, but what is a hero without a villain, right? And then I know you're probably expecting me to hold up My Hero Academia for the superhero one. But no, One Punch Man. This has snuck into becoming one of my favorite series ever. Every year I find myself going back and rewatching this and rereading this, because it's so slice of lifey that the characters are so good. You expect just kind of a simple, rough and tough shonen anime about a guy who can kill things with one punch, but no, there's so much existential dread. Like, what happens when you do accomplish your goals? What happens when you realize that getting to the top isn't the best thing to happen to you? And it's about making friends, it's about living life, it's about realizing that new goals can come when you accomplish the ones you set for yourself. It's so good, and it's so funny. If you've been hesitating on One Punch Man because it feels like too much testosterone, which I have heard one person complain that there's too much testosterone in this series. I get it, but give it a chance. Get past volume 3 and just vibe with the guys. Just vibe with them, because they do vibe really hard when they're not punching things. It's good. It's good, I swear. Angels and demons are next because that's a classic costume that everyone can make sexy and everyone can make like horrifying, because now biblically accurate angels are coming into style, which I love seeing. So these are for y'all. The first one is obviously Good Omens by Neil Gaiman. This is about an angel and a demon who make a wager to try to see if the son of Satan will actually turn out to be the end of the world, but then they mess it up. It's so funny. There's an Amazon adaptation which is really accurate to the book, and David Tennant kills it as Crowley. And then there's a season 2 coming. I have both covers of this book. That's how you know I love it. I have the Crowley and the Aziraphale cover, but I haven't interacted with this one since I got it, so I'm going to do this now. Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett wrote this. I don't know if I mentioned this, but it's one of my favorite Neil Gaiman books. This is also one of the ones that made me realize that Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite authors, alongside V.E. Schwab. So, yeah, highly recommend picking it up if you haven't watched the Amazon series. Season 2 is coming. So, yeah, vibe. And for the manga, we have Blue Exorcist. If you want to know what Blue Exorcist is about, I actually am going on a series where I deep dive this series. And I read the first 5 volumes. I'm going to read the next 5 volumes probably this month, because I do need to get another part out, but I couldn't because Halloween. This is about Rin Okamoto, who finds out he is the son of Satan and attends a school to kill Satan. It's really good. The characters are so well developed, even within the first 5 volumes. I forgot how much development actually went in it, because when I first started picking this series up, it was just me liking all of the violence and the fighting and the main character. He's so likable. And as I'm reading it with my full frontal lobe, I'm realizing how much trauma everyone's actually going through and how much stuff actually goes into this. It's such a good series. Watch my deep dive video. I'm not going to talk about this for much longer, but yeah. Finally, the serial killers. Be it a fictional serial killer such as like Leatherface or Ghostface, Jason, Freddy, all them people, Michael Myers, or if you're a weirdo and dress up as an actual serial killer, first go to therapy, read the Bible, and then when you get back from there, read The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. This is a dual timeline story about a girl who stays at the same place that her aunt disappeared at and tries to solve the mystery of what happened to her aunt. And then we're also watching what happens to her aunt play out in real time, essentially. This is my first Simone St. James, and I'm looking forward to picking up her other works because I know the Book of Cold Cases is out, and then I think she has another one out. But this was one of my favorite reads of the year. And the year's not even over yet. I'm pretty sure I read this year. Yeah, but it's still really good. I highly recommend it. Give this a try if you like mysteries with a slight paranormal twinge to it. It's not really a horror. It's not really a paranormal, despite all the flavorings that linger in it. This is more of a crime drama. So keep that in mind going in. Don't get your expectations up too high for like slashing, ghosty, possession, bleeding walls, hotel story. But do go into it. It's really good, I promise. Finally, Death Note. I don't think I need to explain what Death Note is, but read it if you're into serial killers. For obvious reasons. I have these sexy black editions. I don't need to talk about Death Note. Everyone knows what Death Note is about. I have the full series. There's a series. The manga is complete. The anime is complete. There's now a book of short stories out, so pick those up. Volume 13 is really fun. It's like a how to read guide. There are 2 light novels, at least, I think. Yeah, so there's a lot of Death Note to interact with if you want to get into it, if you haven't already. But, yeah, that's it. So that is it for this recommendation video. Let me know if you read any of these or if you're going to read any of these based on my recommendation. Leave a like, leave a comment. What did you do for Halloween? Did you go trick-or-treating? Did you take someone out trick-or-treating? Did you watch a scary movie? What else do people do on Halloween? Go to a party? Hang out with friends? I don't know what people do. Let me know what you read for spooky season, because there's a lot of horror books coming out, and there's a lot of good ones already out there, so let me know what you read for spooky season. Yeah, that's about it. Follow me on Instagram at NerdBoyReads. Second reminder, leave a like, leave a comment. That's about all I got for you. This has been the video. It's been Nerdboy Reads. I've been October. Hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!